This is going to be your guide for building a team in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now your first thought might be, why should I listen to this guy? Well, I have over a decade of competitive Pokemon experience, and I even had 3rd rank in the first Pokemon Sword and Shield online competition. But most importantly, I like to have fun, and I like to enjoy my Pokemon battles, and I think there's going to be a lot of information inside this video that you aren't going to find anywhere else. A lot of team building guides and a lot of strategy guides are effectively do this, use this Pokemon, play for this strategy, and just grind out wins. But nah, I want you to enjoy Pokemon, and I think that's going to be one of the most important things about it. That I'm also trying to cover this guide for everyone of all skill levels, whether you are already an experienced competitive battler and you're looking for a little bit of guidance for Pokemon Sword and Shield, or you just want to win more battles against your friends. You're tired of losing, but you also don't want to take it too seriously. This guide's going to be for you, and then everywhere in between. Even if you want to start getting serious in Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'm going to be providing a lot of necessary information for just winning more battles and making a solid team inside of Pokemon. So if this video ends up helping out, please leave a like and share it with all of your friends. Also, you're going to need some energy if you're building a new Pokemon team in Sword and Shield, so use code Verlisify for 30% off your G Fuel order, because you're going to need some energy drinks to fuel that grind. And I think there's just so much to talk about. We're going to be covering everything, and the most important thing for team building is using the resources that you have. Here, this is Pokemon Showdown. This is going to be a team planner, so you can click on a Pokemon, and then you have everything you need for that Pokemon for the most part. Since we are still in the early days of Pokemon Sword and Shield, it doesn't have like the full updated movesets and accessible stuff. Like, for example, if we just click on, let's go find a Generation 7 Pokemon, it doesn't have the moveset. It's not really going to tell us anything, but if we have an existing Pokemon, it would show us the moveset. So you still are going to have to do some extra work. This is, again, where we can kind of tie everything together and just use all the resources. So this is really nice for planning out these stats that your Pokemon is going to have. If you're breeding it, you want to know like the IVs and EVs and the moveset and the items to use, also potential abilities and fun stuff like that. This just kind of lets you see your team in one place before you make it, and then you can make adjustments before you commit and potentially waste time if you make a mistake in your team building. And then, this is the god tier Google Doc that just kind of arose. I unfortunately don't know who made it. Like, I just found it like in a post somewhere, so I don't really know where I can give that credit, but it has all the Pokemon in the Galar Dex listed by their highest stats, also shows new moves, max move power, new abilities, new items, all the goodness, but having this breakdown is going to be incredibly important as well. Now, this is invaluable because it helps you patch together the missing pieces of your team. That say you don't have fast enough Pokemon, you're not hitting hard enough. These fast, hard-hitting Pokemon, they are referred to as sweeping Pokemon, because they just kind of brush away anything in their path. And you might have heard this term before, but that's kind of the idea. So if you need a fast Pokemon to kind of deal with other fast threats your opponent has, sort by speed, look for something that's in the speed tier or also the damage tier that you're looking for, and then you can just start adding some goods to your Pokemon team. And once you add that Pokemon, you're going to need to know how to use it. So this is my Pokemon moveset playlist. I have been doing this for 5.5 years. In this playlist, you can find a moveset for all fully evolved Pokemon and some not fully evolved Pokemon because of items like Eviolite. Now, a few of these movesets might be outdated, but still a really good place to start, and then you can check Bulbapedia, find the moveset, and then see if there's anything that's changed in this time, whether a move has become unavailable, or there's new accessibilities that this Pokemon has with new moves, new TMs, new weird stuff going on like that. Then you can use that to adjust around. That when I make my how to use guides, once again, it's not only do this. This is how you play Pokemon. It's guidance. It's a starting point that you can either find inspiration for a moveset that you might have never thought of, or you can kind of use it to get an idea of where to take your own personal moveset and then adjust it for your team. This is team building, guys. It's using your favorites, which is going to be one of the biggest points of this video. Like I said, we're about fun, we're about enjoying battles, so find your favorite Pokemon, see it be used in a way that you could have never thought of, take that creativity further, and then just use all of the other resources that you have at your disposal to kind of go to the next level. But that's all talk. Let's actually go and build a Pokemon team. So let's say these 3 are your favorite Pokemon, because like I just said, use your favorites first. Now, it could be 3, it could be 6, it could be 2, it could be whatever number. If you want to use a Pokemon in battle, start with those Pokemon. And if these 3 are your favorite, comment down below. I'd like to hear that. I feel that with tens of thousands of people watching this video, or hundreds of thousands if you're liking and sharing, well, we're actually going to find some people like, yo, you found my 3 perfect ones, let's build a team around it. And fortunately, we have some good coverage already. These are some fine sweeping Pokemon. Jolteon actually doing really good in the reduced Galar decks. Noivern, always been an interesting, threatening Pokemon, and Cinderace is really broken, and once the Libero ability comes out, not yet released, so keep an eye out for when that event drops, and then when it drops, this thing is going to take over the game, so it gives us a lot of good stuff going on. However, if we go and take a look at this Pokemon's defensive stats, kinda low. So if we don't KO the opposing Pokemon, we are at risk of taking a lot of damage or potentially being KO'd ourselves, and that's why there's also like a lot of nuance around building a team. Now once again, I'm not going to hold you to any strict standards. I'm not going to say you need 2 sweeping Pokemon, 2 tank Pokemon, and 2 tech Pokemon or like disruptive Pokemon, and that's what you start to build around. So use your favorites and start to get creative to kind of find your way out of any problems you might encounter, but it is a good idea to have a balanced team. I'm also not going to say like you need to have one of every typing or you need perfect type coverage across your Pokemon or anything like that. But once again, it could be helpful, or you can still find success. Like, my teams have been traditionally weak to electric type moves because I like using Togekiss and Toxapex. That doesn't stop me. I find ways around it. But yeah, we're kind of vulnerable in our current state, and that's where a really good tool comes in play with a team builder, team checker, something like that. We have Classic Maryland, and they've already updated to Generation 8. How nice. So if we put in Cinderace, we put in our Pokemon, and this lets you see any potential pitfalls that are opening up on your team as it's building. So since we have a Fire Pokemon and Electric Pokemon, double ground weakness. We have a Flying Pokemon and a Fire Pokemon, so that's going to give us double Rock weakness. Now, we do have a Flying Pokemon, so that's immune to ground, which means if we see that Earthquake coming, bring in Noivern. Noivern gets to get set up. That's going to be a really nice thing for the Noivern, but we are still going to be weak to the rocks, and out of all of our weaknesses, this one already doesn't have any checks, and we do have 2 weaknesses for it. Dragon, that's something that you'll probably build against anyways, so we'll see where the Dragon goes. Splash on a Fairy-type Pokemon will be good to go, but this is starting to open up. Now, I'm not going to say to take this as the most serious thing. Like I said, you don't have to build the perfect coverage team offensively or the perfect defensive spread of typings and stuff. It is just something that's really good to take note of, and I usually use it to fill in my 4th and 5th slot. Let's say you have 4 of your favorite Pokemon, maybe you have an idea for a 5th. Well, this is kind of like your glue. That's going to be like the last slot where it's like, I don't know what to do, I need guidance. Then you can use one of these, or you can just kind of skip it all together and build the team how you want to. We got some weird stuff. Now that brings us back to this awesome chart. So as we saw, we have ground and we have rock weaknesses. Now those are primarily going to be physical attacks, so let's start looking for a defensive Pokemon. And since we already have the rock weaknesses, probably not going to want a flying defensive Pokemon. Steel is good, but that opens up ground, so I don't know, maybe Steel Flying would be pretty nice. Corviknight is a really strong Pokemon, and this is why like Ferrothorn just kind of holds teams together. It has one of the highest defensive stats, one of the highest effective defenses because of that 74 hit points next to the 131 on defense, and it's just really solid overall. So that's why I kind of had it highlighted right there. Let's see what happens if we put Ferrothorn on this team. I mean, that's actually really nice. Even though we have a 4x weakness to fire, we get Pokemon that can absorb fire hits. So that kind of brings the team together, and that is going to be one of the defensive Pokemon that we need. So this Pokemon is good at halting opponents' momentum. I also recommend that you have some kind of like recovering Pokemon. That way they can take a couple hits, shrug it off, kind of reset the momentum for your team, and then take you further. And that's where we just kind of keep using all of these things together because we can search by move. So Recover is going to show us all the Pokemon that get access to Recover. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't have all of the Generation 8 Pokemon, so that's a thing to take note of. And this is just kind of where paths keep on aligning, so now we have Toxapex. Toxapex has the Regenerate ability, but it is weak to ground, so that's what we have Noivern for. Ferrothorn can still take a hit, and we also have a weakness to Electric. Well, that's where Jolteon's going to be awesome because it has Volt Absorb. So you just bring in Jolteon, and then it can maybe even heal something up. But mostly it's going to be about that electric immunity if Toxapex feels threatened, and then Toxapex has Regenerator. So now we have these 2 really solid defensive Pokemon that are holding our team together, and these defensive Pokemon are generally referred to as a core. They can bail us out of any bad situations for our sweeping Pokemon, maybe even get some work done against the opponent, and then when the time is right, we can bring in one of our sweeping Pokemon against a move that's not going to threaten it, and then try to regain gain momentum with our fast Pokemon that are going to be very hard to catch, and that leaves us with another slot, and this is where you can also do your research into other moves. Is an opponent setting up against you too much? Maybe you're going to look for a Pokemon that has access to the Haze, that we can just kind of clear out anything that they're trying to set up against. If you switch into a tank Pokemon sets up too slow, they bring in a Pokemon Swords Dance, Dragon Dance, Bulk Up, does some nasty stuff, well, reset that with just some kind of dense Pokemon that sits in there and doesn't let anything by it. But at this time, we don't have perfect Generation 8 information on Bulbapedia, which is why we just keep using other sites, like Cerebi. So Cerebi does have the updated Generation 8 attack dex, and that shows us some of the new Pokemon that get all of the fun new stuff to use, and right now we are looking at Haze. So Corsola has Haze, and you can check that out by going onto the Pokemon stat page, and this is where I also recommend to read up and keep yourself familiar with all of the new Generation 8 Pokemon, which is why I say check out my how to use guides. Even if you don't plan on using that Pokemon, it's good to know what that Pokemon most likely wants to do. That even though the opponent isn't always going to have the moveset I'm going to refer to inside those guides, or the multiple movesets inside those guides, it's good to know the Pokemon's stats, typing, and idea of what the Pokemon is based around, so at least you can be somewhat prepared for what that Pokemon wants to do. And this is just another tool of alright, can look for the move that I'm looking for. We could do this for Recover, we could do this for Haze, and we just kind of keep bringing that back until we start building our Pokemon team. So do you need Haze to stop getting run over? Do you want a setup Pokemon? Because think about Cinderace, Noivern, Jolteon. These Pokemon are pretty much get up and go. Jolteon runs a Life Orb or Focus Sash, and then it just kind of blows Pokemon up. When it comes to Noivern, we've got Throat Spray. So old Pokemon, new tricks. Free Choice Scarf after you use Boom Burst to finish off a low Pokemon. Just kind of keeping that synergy of what the team wants to do in mind. And then Cinderace. I mean, there's a lot of things that Cinderace can do. Focus Sash, Choice Band, something like that. Maybe Choice Scarf because we are in some insane speed creep. So what we have right here are two tank Pokemon kind of holding the team together. We have three of our favorite Pokemon just kind of sweeping it up. And then, I don't know, we might need a Pokemon that's setting up. Swords Dance is really nice. Dragon Dance is pretty cool, that we can get speed and stats over the opponent. We can also go for the special equivalent of Dragon Dance, that's Quiver Dance. Or maybe we also just want a setup filth Pokemon for ourselves. That Toxapex can be run in many ways. Are you going to do Stockpile Recover and have a Toxapex that never dies? Or is that not your style on the Toxapex? You want to be a bit more proactive, so you kind of diverge that to another Pokemon? Who knows? But let's take another look at that Quiver Dance, see what Pokemon get access to. Now, there's also some very overlooked, underappreciated Pokemon that get access to all kind of things. I've always cheered and rooted for the Ribombee. So, I mean, this could be the opportunity to put Ribombee on your team. It adds to our rock weakness because of the bug, but, I mean, Ferrothorn's good, and rock-type attacks aren't even that powerful, so Toxapex can tank it as well, and that's a thing. So, the idea behind the Quiver Dance is, this is where your Focus Sash goes. You take a hit, and then you just kind of turn that into stats or sweeping. Another thing about the Quiver Dance is that there's Pokemon like Butterfree. Butterfree likes to pull shenanigans, so Compound Eyes gives you accuracy. You Sleep Powder, you get 2 Quiver Dance. These stats aren't so bad anymore. Then now you're outspeeding and you're potentially one-hit KOing and you're doing all kinds of fun stuff. So you're just kind of looking for those options to build your team together. Or you can just kind of say, hey, I want the no-brain option. I want to put something easy and free and dumb on my team. Is that where it's alright, you got a Dragapult. And like I said, this could actually be where we're looking for that setup Pokemon. If after beating down your opponent, Cinderace is wearing them away, they're frustrated with the Ferrothorn, Jolteon, Toxapex, etc. All this nastiness is going on. Dragapult finds it in, it gets the Dragon Dance, and then it wins. Is that your plan? Or you got something else up your sleeve? Because the crazy thing about Generation 8 is that we have Dynamax. Any single Pokemon on your team has that potential to Dynamax and then just try to get as much out of those 3 turns as possible. Is it going to set up for the rest of your team? Well, I mean, yeah, you can actually get Rain Dance and then go into Swift Swim on some kind of other Pokemon. That's going to be a separate video, so like, comment, subscribe while you're at it. Add in that extra subscribe so you can keep up with all my other guides. This is kind of like a Battle Academy while being a how to use, while being a generic Pokemon Sword and Shield guide. By the way, check out my Pokemon Sword and Shield guides as well. Do you need to get a Ditto? That way you can start breeding your team. Do you just need to know how to breed a team? Check all of that fun stuff out. And then just anything else you could ever need to know about Pokemon Sword and Shield. Use that to kind of apply the information in-game to build the team that we are now focusing on making. But when it comes back to the Dynamax Pokemon, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can either build your team around your star primary Dynamax Pokemon. That's like, alright, everything's going to lead up to Dragapult Dynamaxing and then use like Phantasm and getting a lot of damage behind it. Or do you want to kind of keep it more open? That even though when it comes to my team, I'm just like, alright, my team is like, hey, you go Togekiss, that's like my lead 100% Dynamax Pokemon, and then you win. But sometimes like, oh, that's a rock type. Oh, that's an electric type. I can't just KO it if I Dynamax on the Togekiss, so I have some other outs. I've got a big fat hippo that likes to win, and every once in a while I've actually like Dynamaxed Hippowdon, and it does wonders for me. So that's another thing that you consider is like, alright, which is going to be my primary Dynamax Pokemon, and then which Pokemon are going to be my backup Dynamax Pokemon, or you're just kind of going to build it very freeform. Like, once Noivern gets that Throat Spray, and it's outspeeding everything on your opponent's team, you are free to have fun with that Dynamax, and Noivern is going to be harder to KO. Also consider other implications. Draco Meteor doesn't become Draco Meteor anymore. We can go back and check on this, and then we can find out that Wormwind actually gets 140 power. So now we've got a +1 Draco Meteor that doesn't drop our special attack for 3 turns. But then we can also go for an Airstream. Now our Air Slash actually becomes something pretty powerful. Or we can use Hurricane. Hurricane has that lower accuracy. It's a bit of a risk, but then when that becomes Dynamax, just becomes insane amounts of power and it boosts our speed. So just in case the opponent has anything that's slightly faster than us, well, now they're not going to be able to touch us once we get that Airstream in to finish off the opponent, Draco Meteor to finish off the next opponent. Then we just have coverage and fun stuff from there. Boom Burst can slow down an opponent if Noivern is like guaranteed to go down. Like, let's say Noivern's kind of at low hit points. You know they're bringing a Focus Sash Pokemon. Just boom, hit him with that normal type move because Boom Burst is balling like that, and then you can just kind of set up for everything else while Noivern is already put in the work, or maybe just win with the Noivern. You can just build like, hey, no one's going to expect the Dynamax Noivern, so you do have to use that first turn, Boom Burst, Throat Spray, kind of carry through and survive, and then just Boom Burst Air Slash. That's going to pretty much KO anything in the game, and now you have the +1 speed, and nothing threatens you except for priority, and every Pokemon they bring in fresh is going to get nuked by a Draco Meteor. Is this what you build it around? You build it around trying to find that one in that Noivern gets and then runs away with the battle. Because people are looking at like, oh, Noivern, that just seems like non-pseudo-legendary Dragapult. But Noivern has the coverage that Dragapult doesn't. Dragapult's a lot more one-dimensional, I think, than Noivern, so that's a thing. If you just need quick on-demand damage with a fast Pokemon, and you don't want Cinderace to die immediately, Dynamax it. Take 1 or 2 Pokemon with you. And then we can just kind of dial it back to how I've kind of applied this philosophy throughout the years. So, like I said, I have built myself into some very strong electric weaknesses in the past. I'm not going to let that stop me. That's actually where I discovered Hippowdon. Like, okay, I need a safe special switch in, because if they're using electric type moves, 99% of the time it's going to be a Thunderbolt, a Volt Switch, a Thunder, something like that. Every once in a while you see a Volt Charge, you see a Thunder Punch. Either way, I need Hippo. Now, Hippo is going to be like a massive, just instant defense tank that can shut down a lot of Pokemon, but I like to personally put some special defense in mind. That way, if I have to switch in on a special attacker, it goes from like Thunderbolt into Shadow Ball or some kind of other move. I can end up surviving, and then I've got this good. So despite having all of this electric weakness, my team just hinges around Hippo. So what's Hippo weak to? Water. What does Mantine not care about? Special water. What does Toxapex not care about? Physical water. That's taken care of. And then Corviknight can just kind of start setting up whenever it wants to. So you can also just kind of like get a lot of versatility out of the Pokemon that you're using. I run Moringa Berry on my Corviknight. Corviknight with Moringa Berry means it can take a special hit, get stronger at special, and suddenly that Thunderbolt isn't as scary. And if for some reason you're outspeeding with Corviknight, then you can roost out play and get all kinds of shenanigans. Things get weird. So that's something, and then like last Pokemon be whatever else threatens Hippo, or some kind of backup plan if all these Pokemon go down. Hey, let's go into a Grass-type Pokemon. So we just look for either a bulky Grass Pokemon, potential sweeping Grass Pokemon, and we can also organize this by stats. So it's like, what about fast Grass options? What do we have? Whimsicott, not really that much of a sweeper. Superior isn't in the game, but I have run Superior in the past with Hippowdon and Toxapex. It's absolutely disgusting. And yeah, we can see the Dex Cut has taken some victims, so maybe a more bulky Grass-type Pokemon, or maybe Choice Scarf, if we haven't used that up on our team, is going to be something to work with in that way. Now, traditionally, it was Scarf Kiss. Now there's Dynamax, who even knows anymore. So there's a lot of things you can run, and that's where I kind of discovered my love of Apple. Appleton's a good tank. It doesn't care, and like extra doesn't care about electric hits, and completely walls out Rotom Wash unless you get tricked from Scarf, and that's where other like weird things your opponent wants to do. So just kind of like pay attention to what you need. Do you need setup? Do you want to go against setup? Or if there's too many tanks getting away, just consider like a taunt Pokemon, that haze Pokemon, like Prankster Taunt on Whimsicott's really nice. Choice Scarf, Trick, Rotom is a big way of just removing an opponent's tank Pokemon from the game, and Rotom is still going to be more usable. So you just need to find ways of like eking out those pluses while keeping your team fun and diverse enough to at least be impactful. Now, there might be some Pokemon that you don't think are super usable, but maybe have like a cheeky move set or some kind of gimmick strategy. I'm never opposed to gimmicks. If you can do anything to make a Pokemon work, take it. If it also takes like 4 Pokemon on your team just to support one other Pokemon on your team, but you really love that Pokemon, that's how I say to play. You know, you can just kind of build everything around making that Pokemon shine. If it takes 5 of your Pokemon to remove 2 threats on the opponent's team, but your 6 Pokemon can take out the other 4, that's something else you might want to apply to as well. That's just going to come down to experience. So rule number 1, build your favorites. Rule number 2, gain experience with the team. Find out what's working. Find out what isn't. Oh man, it turns out Jolteon isn't really cutting it. Unfortunately, we gotta cut it, but maybe you're also not like you don't like using such a standard Pokemon like Dragapult. Back to the drawing board. Let's see what happens. What about Vaporeon? Vaporeon's a cool bro. Like him. You know, it's got Yawn. That's kind of nasty. Can really shut down a lot of setup because it has access to the haze. Gross. And then it can do some other things. It's like, alright, swap out one evolution for another. That's kind of neat as well. Reevaluate where your weaknesses are. Reevaluate what you need. Well, we got rid of a damaging Pokemon. We actually got rid of 2 with a Dragapult. So maybe this is where we put in our Scarf Pokemon. Maybe this is where we find a harder hitting Pokemon. Preferably physical, because we have special attackers right here. Is this where we just add in Mimikyu? Mimikyu is free. It's easy. It's safe. Swords Dance. The opponent can't do anything about it. Something like that. Now our team kind of looks filthy again. So just kind of keep testing things out, seeing if it works or not, and then eventually you'll have something. Also, like, we dropped Jolteon, but Jolteon will be usable another day. You don't have to stick to the same team for the next year until the new Pokemon game comes out. Just keep mixing up. Like, hey, maybe you'll build a full evolution team off of that. Maybe you'll put Jolteon in some kind of other team that has a lot of electric weakness. Like, hey, going back to my team with all that, just bring in Jolteon and get the Volt Absorb. Or, there's other Pokemon that do other cool things. Lightning Rod. Well, there it is. Lightning Rod. Let's just find like a random Pokemon to click on. So Lightning Rod gives you +1 special attack. I can eat a Lightning Rod because all of my Pokemon are weak to electric on that team. And then, well, this is Scarf right here. It's going to be fast and doing a lot of damage. And then I can just switch out into one of my other defensive Pokemon or a tank, or not a tank, a sweeper that can eat the hit and then reverse momentum. So let's recap to finish out this video. Pick your favorites. Get experience, get knowledge, make adjustments, you know, switch up moves, switch up items, switch up what your team goal is about, switch up your primary Dynamax Pokemon, maybe just switch up the Pokemon that you want to use, because it's not fun to use like the same 6 Pokemon forever, unless you're me, and if it's successful, why not? If you're winning every battle with the same 6 Pokemon like I do, use the same 6 Pokemon. But if you are finding like difficulties, if you are struggling a bit, that's okay, you know, if you can't run a team of 4 of your favorite Pokemon, try to make it work with 3 of your favorite Pokemon, just because maybe your favorite Pokemon, it might not be that your favorite Pokemon is bad, it just might not have synergy with your other favorite Pokemon. So that's where you have to fill it in, like, Ferrothorn, no one likes using Ferrothorn, especially because it's such a overused Pokemon in general. But you might have to resort to it. If Ferrothorn makes your Cinderace shine, go for it. It's a lot more fun that way. And then lastly, use every resource that is available to you. That's kind of how I just got so good at Pokemon. It was absorbing knowledge. That it was just looking on Bulbapedia all day, every day, just kind of like seeing every Pokemon as a giant puzzle. What moveset comes to light if I just stare at this long enough? Does something materialize? What about these other items? Or not these other items, but these other moves. Like, ooh, Strength Sap is a really cool move. What Pokemon get access to the Strength Sap that I might be able to win on my team? Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about Poltegeist. Yo, here's your Focus Sash slot. Just do Shell Smash and win every battle. Poltegeist is busted like that. So I mean, look for those crazy sets. And if an opponent beats you up, think about incorporating that. I was like, wow, that completely swept me. But if I have it on my team, I'll completely sweep other people. So a lot of knowledge, a lot of fun, a lot of research and just kind of figuring out how to piece things together, but hopefully this gives you an idea. Now, I'm not going to say here's the best 6 Pokemon or here's the best 10 Pokemon, pick 6, and then run out and, be a lamer. Nah, you can play, have fun, and you can still find a lot of success inside Pokemon. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.